Hi Frost Tube, I hope all's well. My name is Kirsty, Crafting Kirsty, here on YouTube and also on Instagram. It is Thursday the 21st of March 2024 and I'm back with another mid-month woohoo I'm here video. This isn't going to be a usual Frost Tube, you'll be able to tell from the title what it is. I haven't done an update for February. I will do February and March together at the beginning of April. I just ran out of time. But my goal for February was to get a lot of my cross-stitch pieces fully finished, so FFO'd. And I've actually managed to get quite a lot done. I've still got a lot to do, but I did manage to get quite a lot done. So I thought, well, rather than trying to put it all into a normal video, because I think that it would just be too long, because I've actually done quite a bit quilting-wise and things as well, I would come to you now in the middle of the month and show you my finishes. So this is only going to be cross stitch. I can't imagine it will be too long, but yeah, there we go. So I hope you're all well. Yeah, we'll just get started with it really. So my three main, well, I was going to say, yeah, my three main methods. I hate finishing. I really hate finishing. Three main methods of finishing I tend to do are put things in frames, turn them into pillows, or do flat folds, but mine hasn't got the fold, it's just a flat. I have stuck to that with the exception of one, which is going to be a wall hanging, so I will show you that. Anyway, stop waffling, get on with it. We'll start with the pillows. Lots of these projects have been done and sitting in my bag of shame for many a year. Can't remember some of the patterns, don't have some of the patterns. What I can remember, I will tell you. Otherwise, it's just a case of look and ooh and ah. So the first one, and probably my least favourite finish, is this. Now, can't remember what the pattern's called, don't know where the pattern is. And I stitched this. This was probably one of the first, and look, there is a little bird on top of the chicken. Probably one of the first things I ever stitched. And I really like it, but it doesn't really fit in the house anywhere. And I think the main problem being this blue fabric actually. So the reds, the whites and the blacks, or the very dark brown would go in the kitchen absolutely fine. And this will go in the kitchen on the windowsill. Or we got a big bottle of lizard litter or walnut shells when we were at the hat sampler weekend last year. And I've put that in the base of here. So it's not ridiculously heavy because it's only probably half full to lizard litter, but I could almost use it as a door wedge, which is fine. The top's a bit dodgy. I was watching Daisy K Primitives the other day and she was talking about her finishes and she sort of said, oh, you know, I'd like to make the distinction that I finish it in a primitive fashion, but not in a sloppy fashion. I thought that's actually a really good point. I am more in the sloppy end of the finishing section, I'm afraid. I just don't enjoy it. And this one, trying to get this sort of shape, yeah, I struggled with it a bit. And I think the less, you know, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Whilst I like it, I don't love it. I definitely put less effort in. Anyway, that is the first. It's quite a wedge, as you can see. These bits that stick out. This is polyfill. I think I probably might have got a better shape had I done the lizard litter the whole way up. But there we go, so that's finished number one. I do still like it. I just wish I hadn't done it on the blue fabric. But you live and you learn. The next finish, again, is another pillow. And I can't for the life of me remember what this pattern is. I'm sure it came off Etsy. And I think it is a lady that has Frost Tubes, possibly. Is it, I want to say Monica's Stitching, but I could be wrong. I don't know, I'm afraid. Anyway, it's just a little scarecrow with some pumpkins and sweet corn and a couple of crows. So it's a nice little autumnal pillow. I have put some sort of farmyard garden fabric on the back of it. This is my other problem with finishing. There's going to be a lot of problems in my finishing throughout this video. I have a reasonable stash of fabric, but it's all very nice fabric and there's a lot of it I don't want to cut into. I mean, I've got lots of lovely fabric that would have gone, you know, look, that would have matched this absolutely fine. but I don't want to cut into it to make a pillow with it. I want to use it to make quilts and things. So that's my other issue. That's why I tend to sort of drag my feet a bit. And I think actually what I need to do is when I next go to a quilt show, I need to make a note of what I need to finish and look for novelty fabric that would work for that, because I don't want to cut into my posh fabric or, you know, the fabric that I bought specifically for quilts just to finish pillows with. Anyway, that's a note for self later on. So yeah, this is just a normal pillow finish. I've sewn up at the bottom. Now it's time for the 11 o'clock news. Sorry, forgot that was going to go off. It hasn't worked for years and years and years. And eventually I got my father-in-law to come and help me fix it. Well, help me fix it. He fixed it. I just held a few things for him. And I absolutely love it, but I do quite often forget that it's going to go off because, as I said, for years it hasn't. Anyway, can't remember. Oh, and then, so my points, this one isn't quite pushed out far enough. And this one, I've lost it a little bit there, can you see? And this is where I struggle with cross-stitch fabric, is I think I normally only do a 1/4 inch seam, and I was thinking about it this morning when I was doing another piece. I really think I need to do 1/2 inch seam, because a 1/4 inch seam, you will still get these little frayed bits. It's not quite wide enough, I don't think, in my personal opinion. Anyway, pillow number 2, that'll look lovely on a windowsill or in my trough come harvest time. Pillow number 3. Now, this one is from Plum Street Sampler, Hares Autumn. So she has a range of hares doing various things throughout the year. I think I fairly well have the full complement of the patterns. I think I've certainly got one, I might have a second one, so this could be the second or the third one that I finished. But this is Hares Autumn. I don't know the fabric I'm used, I'm afraid. I would have done the DMC conversion, I think, or as close to it as could possibly be. Just backed that with this very simple. So this was a bit of a leftover from a quilt, so I don't mind once it's been cut into. We all have our little ways. There we go. So I do like that one. I do love my hares seasons. I need to do a few more of them. That's pillow number 3. The next set are a group of 3, and I might get some charms to put on these. I haven't quite decided yet, but I have start number 1. So this is Christmas is coming. The goose is getting fat. Please put a penny in the old man's hat. So all of these come off one pattern, Plum Street Samplers, and I think it is called Christmas is Coming. Again, I have used, I think all the called for, possibly I might have changed one of the greens. Don't know if I'm going to be able to hold these all together. They're also all done on the same fabric, all done in the same flosses, and they are all back the same with this sort of a gold Christmassy fabric. So I'm quite happy with these. Again, with all my pillows, I just do the sew up at the end. Yeah, they're fine as ever, not quite stuffed full enough. You always think you've stuffed it full enough, and then you struggle and struggle and struggle to get this little section so you can sew it together. And then you finish it and you hold it away, and sort of one corner just goes, not quite full enough. And here, look, you can just see there. That is where, again, 1/4 inch seam, and there hasn't actually been enough strength within the linen to hold it, so it's just frayed. So I had to sew that bit up, but you know, hide that underneath a bit of greenery. So yeah, so I really like those. All 3 of those together. I think they're very nice at Christmas. Again, windowsill with a bit of greenery and some red baubles or something around them. The only thing, as I said, the only thing I might do is I might get a few little charms to go on there, because I don't like frilly stuff particularly, because it's yet more finishing that you have to do, and it's just not particularly what I like, but I won't mind a little something, I think, on the corner of these. So that's those three. And then the final set of pillows are from Nikki's Creations, and they're called Christmas Bells. Now these are very primitive. And so I've hung them up. So you've got bells, deer, a little house. Got to trim. No, don't have to trim it, just need to put it. Oh no, I need to trim that bit. I don't put any more. And the Christmas tree. So these are really quick stitches. You've got the template and the pattern to cut it out, which I did. I bought I think I already had the bells actually, and I had the ribbon. And then I've just used some green wool and red wool on the back of them. I sort of got organised for this in a bit of a rush, which was silly of me. And I don't know quite whether I put them on a small tree or what I do with them, but they will be hung from somewhere over Christmas time. Oh, well, you can't, but that's anyway. So that's the reindeer house. And actually, this pattern, hers are done in a very primitive fashion. Can you see at the bottom? So I think she's actually gone around hers and sort of done blanket stitch around the edge of it. Whereas I didn't particularly want to do that because the fraying linen again, it just concerns me a bit. So I just did it across so I sort of stuffed them as far as I could stuff them and just did it across the bottom bit, which is fine. And stupidly, I should have put this in the middle. I didn't, I've just sewn them all onto the top, and the bells are obviously just on the bottom. But yeah, so those four. As I said, that was Nikki's Creations Christmas Bells. They're really good fun actually. I really enjoyed stitching those. Then we go on to some flat folds, or flats that aren't folded. So the first one, and so I've done some of these before, and normally I just have one piece of card. I put my cross stitch piece on one side, and then I put some fabric on the other side, fold it over, and then sort of sew it together. But that can be quite fiddly and a little bit, just be a bit fiddly and take a bit of time. So what I've finally done, and I'll talk more about this in a minute, what I've finally done is I've put the fabric on one side with batting underneath, well not the fabric, the cross stitch on one piece of card with batting underneath. I've taken a second piece of card and put fabric over the top of it, stuck them together, and then I have just whip stitched them together. So this is, I think it's called Christmas Tea, again by Plum Street Samplers. And had a bit of a hoo-ha with this. So I stitched it, and it was initially just on a cream Monaco fabric, which I don't particularly enjoy stitching on, but that's fine. I enjoyed the stitch, don't particularly enjoy the fabric. And I decided that I wanted to sort of tea dye it, because I would have preferred the colour of the fabric. And I wanted to tea dye it having stitched it, because ages ago, Christy of Daisy Gray Primitives showed a tutorial where she had stitched a piece, tea dyed it, and it looked really good because the tea dyeing, it almost sort of drew away from the stitching a little bit, so the stitching still stood out. And I don't know quite how, she did a tutorial and I did watch it, and I didn't watch it again as I was doing it, but up at the top you might be able to see there were some white snowflakes. Now they really didn't show up on the Monaco, and so I thought, oh, this will be excellent, I'll tea dye it, it'll draw away from the snowflakes and therefore they'll stand out more. it didn't, they just absorbed the colour. And I think that's probably different fabrics, how the, you know, sticking it in tea affects different fabrics. So initially I did this and it was longer and it didn't look right because you couldn't see the snowflakes. And I didn't do it as a pillow. Did I do it as a pillow? No, I think I started trying to do it like this and then decided I didn't like it. So I actually sort of chopped off the top. So forget about the snowflakes. And then I went, maybe I laced it and I couldn't get it straight lacing it. But whatever, by the time I eventually got around to doing it in this method, a few of my corners were only just getting there. But actually, you see here, you sort of, it pulls it tight together. So I mean, there definitely was a gap here where I've cut the fabric thinking I'd finished and it was done and dusted with, cut the fabric so I didn't have so much bulk behind. And when I've actually gone to do it in this method, I've had a gap there, but it does pull the fabric. And actually I've just used a green here because it goes with, was it green? Yeah, I just used a green because I thought it goes with green in the middle. I'm quite happy with this now. And this will just, you can get little easels at Hobbycraft, and I'll just stick it on one of those on windowsill. But yeah, I'm quite happy with it. Just a bit disappointed the tea dyeing didn't do quite what I expected it to do, but I think that's more to do with the fabric and possibly me not following the tutorial properly than the tutorial. But yeah, so anyway, Christmas Tea by Plum Street Samplers. And I know a few people have picked up this and started to stick, or picked it up. And then the next two I've done in this similar vein are Fancy Blackets from Pinebury Lane. So every year in August, myself, Elaine Anywhere Stitcher, Alison the Stitching Whippet, and Ali Stitcher on Instagram stitch a fancy blanket. We've done 3. I've only finished 2 of them because the very first one I did, I put my own colours in it and I used a very over-dyed fabric. It was green purpley, very witchy. Don't like it now, so I think I'm going to have to restitch that one because I love the patterns. I just don't want to put that on my wall. Anyway, so I should have put the dates on these, but I haven't. So this is October Ride, Fancy Blacket, Pinebury Lane. And again, just, oh, I see, okay. That's right, Prit sticked. Stuck the fabric on. Didn't realise that was going to happen. I might have to Prit stick it all in future. I mean, you're not going to see that at the back anyway, but I just got this sort of, this is a, I think it's a Primitive Gatherings, possibly flannel. I bought quite a few different colours a while ago in a quilt shop, and the lady said to me, what are you going to do with those? And I said, I don't know. And what I've actually done with them is backed an awful lot of autumn Halloween finishes with them, because they do just go very well. Anyway, so Fancy Blacket, Pinebury Lane, October Ride. And then the second one, can't remember the name of this one, but it is Fancy Blacket, Pinebury Lane. And I think this was, oh, I can't even remember which year it was. I know the one I haven't done is the very first one. I think possibly this is the second year, and then this was last year's, but I could be wrong. It doesn't really matter. Love them, absolutely love them. Can't wait. I think I could be correct in saying that it's my turn to choose this year. But it doesn't really matter if it's not. They're all great patterns and we really enjoy stitching them all, and it's good fun to stitch them. Oh, and then this one has got, now that's interesting. So that was Prit sticked in the same way, but you don't get that. Maybe this is just pulled a bit tighter. I don't know. I like that material. And I've just used, again, a dark brown on the outside. Haven't quite finessed stopping and starting new threads. And it takes me, because I sit there and I do it in a set way, and when I have to start, so I sort of basically go in when I'm finishing, I sort of go in, do half a stitch, put the thread in between the boards, and then pick up that stitch with a new piece. And then it takes me forever to work out how to get back onto the rhythm of doing it. Basically, yeah, anyway, it really does. You would have thought I would have learnt by now, but no, every time it scrambles my brain. And I'm just there stabbing it back and forth, going, no, that's not going to work, no, that's not going to work. So anyway, those are the 3 flats that I've done. And again, you know, very boring, no fancy stuff, no fluff, no frills. I do like this, having the sort of making a point of the colour here, almost, either to match or to stand out, which you can't see it here, but when you're looking at it, you do just see the top layer of it. And then the final sort of non-framed piece is my Snow Village. So I was doing the Snow Village, Farmhouse Christmas, and then there's one, is it Christmas Tree Farm? But there were the 3 that came out fairly close to each other, and I stitched these during lockdown. And again, 2 of them I've used quite a colourful fabric that I'm not quite so keen on anymore. They're all quite large because they were done on sort of 25, 28 counts. And for ages I didn't know how to finish them. I did buy some frames, didn't really like them in the frame, so I thought, well, I can make cushions with them, but cushions only end up on the floor in this house. So I have eventually, I mean, these have been finished since 2020, so 4 years later, I have eventually turned it just into a very simple wall hanging. So I did this one this morning. So I bought these frames, I can't remember, hangers, I can't remember where from, I'm afraid. Could have been somewhere like Lovecraft's. So I bought those, I've got 3 of those, they're all the same. And this one I finished this morning. I just thought, just do it. So this is obviously Snow Village. I think it's Little House Needleworks that does all 3 of them, or it could be Cottage House, whatever. I have put batting on the back of this, and I've literally just run along with my sewing machine underneath the snow to hold those 2 pieces together. And then I basically just turned it into a massive pillow. I used this Christmas fabric, which again was fabric, I don't know if I bought it or somebody had bought it for me, that is not something I think I'd ever use in a quilt, but actually goes fantastically on the back of Christmas decorations. So you've got little ducks in Christmas hats. What more could you want? So, and then I just used, I was going to do sort of 3 individual, and then I thought, you'll never place them in the right way. One part of it's always going to be a bit wonky. So I just did a long tube, and this just ends, the ends pull out of the sort of downing rod. So that will just hang somewhere on a wall at Christmas time. And the other 2 will need to be done again. Or will need to be finished, but they'll be finished in exactly the same way. So yeah, quite pleased with that. And actually, it's a lot smaller than, or it appears a lot smaller than it appeared when it was in a frame. When it was in a frame, it really was quite large, and I thought, well, that's all very well, but if I've got everything framed on the wall, then I need to find the correct space to, I wasn't going to be able to, whereas this, you can just bung it anywhere, and it'll be fine. So those are all of the non-framed finishes that I've done so far. So now we'll go on to frames, and some of them, yeah, a little bit dodgy, but they'll be fine. It'll be fine. And one of them was a reframe, so I just stabbed myself with a needle. One of them was a reframe because I actually managed to knock it off the side and the frame broke. So we will start with the reframe because you have seen this before. But also what I've done, when I first started framing, I wasn't putting batting behind them, and I don't have glass on any of them, but I do prefer them with a bit of batting behind. And annoyingly enough, you really can't see that when you're just looking at it here. I've just been checking that I could get them all into frame earlier. And I was like, oh God, they really don't look that good, but they look a lot better in real life. They really don't look that creased. But anyway, this is Ida and Ira May Crow. Is it from The Good Housewife? I think I saw this ages ago, possibly on Priscilla and Chelsea, many years ago. And so went and bought it. And then everyone was saying, I can't get hold of it, I can't get hold of it. And I think I probably went onto her Etsy site the one and only day it was open. And these were in stock and I bought them. So I've stitched that. But I've just reframed it. So this is very simple. I think this is probably from the range. Most of my frames have come from there. That does annoy me because you really don't see that. I mean, I probably could tighten them up a little bit. You really don't see that when you're just looking at it. Hey. You'll just have to believe me, I'm afraid. And then the second one in a frame. Oh no, okay. No, okay, sorry, I thought they were both the same size, but they're not. But they are both the same style. So this is the second one I have framed. And this is, which is Better Way? Possibly that might be the Better Way. So this is the Pandemic Sampler from Sassy Girl. And she brought this out as a freebie during the pandemic and just asked you to donate to a local animal shelter nearby, which I did. So I bought this and I decided, because I didn't want it to be too big, I was going to do it 1/1 on 25 count, which I did, and I didn't particularly enjoy. I don't mind the majority of it. Where I struggled particularly in these black roofs was I'd do a row and then I'd start the row below and I couldn't see, there wasn't enough definition to see where the bottom of the cross was for me to go in. So that's why I struggled with that. But other than that, it wasn't too bad, but it did take a long time. It had to be done in a frame. And I just thought, yeah, 1/1 on 25 count is not for me. But I do like the end result. I think I used a lot of leftover over-dyed threads on this and just sort of, yeah, chose my colours. But yeah, I mean, it's a great pattern for a freebie. It is a fantastic pattern. Lots of lovely things on it. And the flowers are actually very methodical when you get into it, doing the border. So yeah, I'm pleased with that, and just a very, very simple brown frame. So next framed piece, I got this frame, definitely got this frame from the range. And oh, you see, you don't see this when it's just, no, you don't see it anyway. So this is Plum Street Samplers, and I think it's probably called Dwell Not on Earthly Treasures. So I stitched this ages ago, really enjoyed stitching this piece. I'm sure I would have used all the called for, and I just went for a grey frame because it's quite grey up there. And I thought, oh, that'll look very nice. So I'm really pleased with that, how it's come out. Brilliant. So that's just very simple. Look at the great finishing, bit of sellotape. It's nothing like a bit of sellotape. And then the next one I'm going to show you, I can't actually get it to stay in the frame. I literally have got to get some masking tape to go to the back of this. But this is, I bought a frame myself. I've actually bought quite a few frames because obviously I got Contented Needleworker Kim, and she buys all her frames from charity shops, and I think Olivia of Pumpkin Hollow Quilts does the same. So I thought, oh, I'll buy my frames. And what I've actually ended up with, I've got some nice frames, but I've got an awful lot of frames and the pieces don't really seem to fit in them. So I think I either need to just send them all back to a charity shop and accept that it's either going to be the range or custom made, because I don't finish that many pieces at a time. Or I actually need to decide on the frame before I start and then choose the fabric accordingly to what's going to fill the frame. But anyway, this frame I bought from a charity shop. This won't stay in there at the moment, but it will when I've properly backed it. And this is out of the Blackbird Designs Winds of Autumn book. And this is Mighty Oak, or Little Acorn, I can't remember, but it's in the book. And I started this actually as a stitch along with Contented Needleworker Kim and Darlene of Darlene Dion Designs. And I really ummed and ahed about whether I wanted to start it. Started it and couldn't put it down. Absolutely loved it. I have made a few modifications to it. I think, oh, there's supposed to be stuff there. Ooh. Supposed to be stuff there that I've just taken out and put my initials in. But yeah, absolutely love it. Really like the frame for it. So this was a successful charity shop purchase. Just need to actually get it to sit in. It's just, yeah, it hasn't got any of the, it hasn't got any of the sort of nails or the flat bits that you fold down. So I need to sort that out. But I think I'll probably just put a bit of masking tape over the back of it and whack it on the wall. And then final two finishes, and these are the big uns. So the first one to show you, and this is the one where I've managed to, the needles coming through. This again is a charity shop frame. It does fit. It's a little bit there's a gap at the top and the bottom, but I don't mind, because actually I think the frame suits it quite well. So this is Eloise Cornu from Reflet de Soie. I finished this at the beginning of the year. Again, you can't see these creases, but you can see there's just, so when I first framed it, because I didn't think about framing when I started it, and I only had a very, very small space at the top or one side. I mean, the side, I've actually had to add bits onto the side to get it to fit into this frame. But here we go. So there's a piece that I didn't do on the bottom, but other than that, this is as charted using country cottage threads, cottage garden threads from Australia, Hugs and Kisses. And I like this frame for it because it's got but with a little bit of red underneath it. So yeah, second piece framing. Ideally, I wouldn't have such large gaps at the top and the bottom, but for the moment, it will do. Don't even think I could really stitch anything on the top or the bottom. I think the border is, yeah, no, I think I just have to leave it alone, and either one of these days buy a frame that actually fits it, or leave it as it is. So I'm happy enough with that one. And then, finally, the beast is framed. I have framed my Morris Dancer by GGR. So I ended up having to buy a custom frame for this. So I went to the range, bought a whole load of frames, knew I was going to struggle to find a frame big enough to fit this piece in. And so I actually ended up buying myself a mirror. So when you look at the picture frames in the range, it tells you the diameter, or it tells you the size that you can actually see. Which I know if you order things online, it can be sometimes difficult to, does that include or not include the border, etc, etc. So I'd gone through, found frames that fitted, went, yeah, okay, my stitching is this and it's going to be 1 inch round, that's great, what have you. Went to the mirror section, found the mirror that fitted, brilliant, brought it home. So well, before I unpack it, I'll just lie the Morris Dancer over the top of it. And of course in a mirror, it gives you the measurements from edge to edge. So I was about, because it was quite a thick mirror border, so nowhere it was going to fit. So I ended up taking that back, and then I ordered from frames.co.uk, I think it is, online. I'll link it all below, or I won't link it, I'll write it all below. And that's really good. So I just wrote in the piece, you know, the stitched piece, or it says the artwork final size, and then it brings up all these selections that you can use. And I I quite like ornate frames. I've decided I do like ornate frames, it's as simple as that. But yeah, I've got this frame. So, and I've framed it. It's very close fit. Oh, but here we go. So this is the Morris Dancer finished and now fully framed. Appreciate you won't be able to see a huge amount, but you can see how tight it is, edge to edge. But I just thought, you know what, I don't care. Just get it in there. And I did change the date. So those of you that might have watched before, I finished it, I think. And I had a bit of a senior moment and I put the wrong date in. And then I sat here for a few minutes because I couldn't remember what year it was. And so I had put 2024 in, even though it's 2023. So I've actually crossed it out with red and I've just done a red 3 underneath in a very school teacherish fashion. Not that I've ever been a school teacher, but I thought, oh, it just makes me laugh to look at it and think, I can't believe I stitched the wrong date and then spent probably a good minute backwards and forwards trying to remember what year we were actually in. But anyway, so this is the Morris Dancer finished frame. It's just like a sort of rope or a chain, rope, twisted rope, that's the word, phrase I'm looking for, in a sort of, yeah. Again, bits of red, not that you can see those coming out and not that there's any red in it, but there are those speckles. So that is it. Framed. So, how long do you think it's going to sit on the floor leaning against the wall before I actually hang it on the wall? Could be months. There we go. So that is the finished Morris Dancer from GGR in a frame. And that's it. That is all that I have. Well, not all, because there's quite a lot of fully finished objects that I have managed so far. I have still got, I've still got quite a few, but the majority, so I've got 2 more wall hangings to do, as I said, like this. And I've got quite a few more of the flat non-folded pieces to do. But they're fairly quick. So hopefully I might come back middle of next month with a few more FFO'd pieces to show you. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sorry I haven't been very good at remembering the fabric or the flosses. Sometimes not even the pattern name. But I just hope you enjoyed a bit of the eye candy. And I will be back at the beginning of April. I'll have lots to show you, lots to talk about. I've had a very busy March, which has been great, both quilting wise, cross stitching wise. About to go to the Essex Needles retreat tomorrow for the weekend, which I'm really looking forward to. Lots of knitting has been done, a couple of pieces have been finished, another one's nearly finished, blah, 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 blah. So I hope you'll come back and join me in the beginning of April. And have a good Easter, because I won't be back till after the Easter weekend. Don't eat too much chocolate. Yeah, that's about it really. Take care. Bye.